welcome to this week's Elite Audio video, and in front of me today I have something rather special indeed. It is the just released Luxman NT-07 Streaming Network Transport, and these have, if you've been watching on social media, literally just arrived in the UK. It's the first time Luxman has released such a product. I'm going to be unboxing it for your viewing, unboxing pleasure. We will discover what is in this Japanese box of delights. We will then get it set up in the showroom, and I will give you my initial impressions straight from the box. So without any further ado, let us get started. But before I do so, it's kind of a sad day really. Our Stanley 99E, which has been a member of the Elite Audio family for, well, since before Wind, has met with an unfortunate accident. We are, however, faced with the rather sad prospect of an unbranded, heaven forbid, box cutter, which, let's be honest, it's no 99E, is it? However, let's get on anyway. I'm sure it'll be just acceptable. Okay, let's get started. So, initial part done. Presented with yet another box, which is nicely screen printed with Luxman NT-07 on the top. I'm going to flip this upside down to extract the first box, and then we'll carry on with the unboxing. Okay, I won't do the schoolboy error that I have done previously, where I have literally opened the box upside down, but we're definitely the right way up. And just to confirm what we have here, this is quite weighty, I've got to say. It is in fact it says here, Ultimate Fidelity, a limited edition, crafted by Luxman Corporation. Interesting, very interesting. Right, let's carry on. Okay, so quite glad to say that our unbranded stand-in box cutter has now completed its duties, so I can now dispense of it. If you've watched previous videos, you'll know that the weightiness of the 99E has done some, shall we say, external unexpected damage to whatever it struck, so I now know I can safely throw this away. Okay. Maybe I was wrong. Right, okay, anyway, here we have the internal. So I can tell you now we have got some, and this is not polystyrene that will break, this is something a bit sturdier. I've seen this in the Luxman amplifiers before. So there's 4 of these on the top. We've got a set of safety instructions which says, warning, do not eat. Okay, so for those of you that were considering this as some kind of gourmet delicacy, it does state quite clearly here that you must not eat this device, so I think that's some good solid advice there. Now let's lift this out, and actually this is very typical of how Luxman pack all their devices. I really like this because it absolutely ensures that nothing untoward is going to happen in transit. I'm just going to lay this gently over here. Inside the box, you've got shock horror, a UK mains lead. This was always one of the weak areas of Luxman. They'd arrive with usually a Euro plug inside, but this has got the proper UK one. We have got an accessory box here, and I am assuming, if I can actually, looks like it was taped to the inside of the box and has come loose in transit. If I can open this, here we go. There we go, there's tape there. I'm going to have to retrieve the non-branded, in fact, actually no I'm not. I think I might have a key in my pocket, which often doubles as a tape cutter. And there we go, indeed it has. Right, so in here we have, which was what I expected to see, is a full metal remote, which is in bubble wrap, and then we have got batteries and the remote itself. It looks very similar to most Luxman remotes that I have seen in the past, but it's obviously you can control all your inputs from here. It's even got a Bluetooth button as well, so it'll be interesting to see how this controls the device itself, because it does have its own app. Anyway, I don't need this remote, so I'm going to very carefully, don't need it for now anyway, I'll place that there, put this back on here, and let's get these bits out of the way so that you can see. Oh, one other thing just to point out before I do this. If you look inside the box, again, Luxman have considered the possibility that something, or it may be dropped in transit, so they've made sure there's plenty of support at the bottom of the device itself, which again is a nice bit of forward thinking. Okay, right, we'll speed this bit up. Okay, so we have tape in the bottom of this, so I'm just going to remove this tape on both sides. I do like this cloth packing that Luxman uses, actually. It is really good. I'm going to completely remove this tape, however. The same on this side, as we can see. So, again, they always have this very nicely put piece of wrapping right across the front panel, in addition to all the other packing that Luxman include. And again, I should be very... And finally, we are into the NT-07. Right. I've got to say, this is, again, a very weighty transport. If you look online, there is chatter already about how much of this is Lumen and how much is Luxman. Obviously, there'll be those of you that are very familiar with the tie-in between the two companies. To my knowledge, the actual chipset is Lumen's, the screen is Lumen's, the operating system, or the base part of the core part of that, is Lumen, but the actual processor, power supply and everything else is all Luxman. In fact, the power supply is something very special. It's got two custom made 10,000 microfarad capacitors, which is very overspec for this type of device. But again, what Luxman recognise is keeping noise to the minimum is always good for all things digital. Anyway, as I said, we'll get this set up in the showroom right now. We'll have a listen, and then I will give you a brief report on how it sounded. So welcome back, and we have now set the NT-07 up in the showroom. We connected it to the network, we logged in to the Luxman Stream app that you can download, and given the unit a 20-minute or so warm-up, and I've done some listening tests based on music that I am familiar with. But before we get into the sound, let us quickly cover some of the salient points that I touched upon during the unboxing process. So first off, let's look at build quality. And I've got to say, with all Luxman products, this does not disappoint. It feels very, I would say, weighty when you pick it up. I'll bring up the full technical specifications on screen, so dimensions, weight, etc. But it's very well made, as you would expect from a Japanese built Luxman. It's got very clean lines about it, and if we want to get into the Luxman Lumen debate, obviously, as I mentioned early on, there is a tie-in with Lumen. So to my knowledge, and if anybody knows any differently, please put a comment in the comment section below, that the Luxman shares the Lumen screen. It has the basis of the Lumen operating system, and it uses the Lumen chipset. Where it then differentiates, it uses its own power supply, and it uses its own microprocessors for all other functions out with the app part that we spoke about already. In terms of how easy it was to set up, the first thing you may notice is that it's not Wi-Fi based, so you have to use an Ethernet connection. There are Ethernet Wi-Fi adapters out there, so that shouldn't really be a barrier if that's the route that you want to go, if you don't have direct access to your network switch via a cable in your listening room. But it's very easy, got it connected up, downloaded the Luxman Stream app, and within 5 minutes we had sound. There was certainly nothing complex about it. One thing about the Luxman Stream app is that it's effectively it's the same as the Audiolab stroke Lumen app. If you're familiar with any of these, you will feel right at home with the Luxman. As far as software is concerned, the Luxman's a UPnP device. It's also a Roon endpoint. For those of you that are tied to Tidal, it does use Tidal Connect, which means you can stream straight from the Tidal app. And I know a lot of people prefer to use Tidal this way. In some respects, it's the cleanest and easiest way to use it. If you've got an Apple device, you can also cast your signal to the Luxman. I was going to say Lumen. Scrap that part. You can cast or stream directly to the Luxman, and it will take the 44.1 kilohertz signal and it will upsample it to 384 kilohertz if that's something that you want to do. It's full network attached storage streaming, and it's MQA hardware decoding. So now the MQA hardware part is switchable. So what you can do is, if you've got a hardware decoding DAC, then you can disable that function if you wish, or you can have the signal fully hardware decoded within the streaming device itself. It's also got HDMI 4K pass-through using ARC, and it will also use, you can work it with a 24192 signal via the HDMI connection. But to get the full use of it, you would connect it via USB. It does also give you the option of using a coaxial connection or an optical connection, but if serious listening is the thing you're doing, you would most certainly use the USB connection. Certainly for our testing, we did use USB, and we ran that straight into our SHOWROOM Aqua La Scala Optologic Mark II, which, if you're unfamiliar, is a valve output based R2R ladder DAC, which is an all-time favourite of mine. It's an incredible DAC. In fact, price point wise, it's actually a very good match for the Luxman. However, you may have another Luxman device that you can then connect this to, and thus give yourself the complete Luxman listening experience. Before we get on to sound, I just want to quickly run through the connections on the rear of the streaming device itself. So if we go from left to right, we have the first batch or bank of digital outputs. So we've got the optical and coaxial, which are banked together. You will then see the Ethernet network connection, and then following that we have got the USB connections, one for the DAC and one if you wish to literally connect a storage device straight to the back of the Luxman. We also have the HDMI connectors, which is the pass-through with your in and out, and this will extract the audio signal, allowing a 4K signal to pass through from, say, a Skybox or a Blu-ray player if you want to use it in 2-channel mode. Please bear in mind it will only decode 2-channel signals and allow the HDMI 4K signal going back to your panel or television. We then have the 12-volt trigger control switch, or sorry, sockets, I beg your pardon. And then finally on the far right hand side, we have got the standard voltage IEC connector, which wraps up the rear panel of the Luxman. How does it sound? That's the part I'm sure you're all interested to hear. In a word, it sounds great. I mean, straight out of the box, I was very impressed. It's the first thing that struck me about it actually, which, given that it's brand new, is it's a very smooth sound. Now, that's not to say it's lacking texture in any way, because I can promise you it's not. I played a jazz track where cymbals, and in fact the attack of the cymbal, the decay of the cymbal, it had the crispness and that nice high frequency texture that we want to hear. So there's certainly nothing being rolled off there at all. The bass was very deep and solid, and again, I'm someone that likes bass. I've heard on some streamers that they can be a little bit bass light, but certainly that's not anything you would levy directly at the Luxman. Very musical, great separation. I would say mid-range sounded beautifully, I would say balanced, and it just has that ability to make sure that in terms of sound staging that everything has its correct position. Sometimes mid-range vocals on some streamers can sound as though someone has deliberately put them far back in the mix. That's certainly not the case with the Luxman. I'll bring up our normal test tracks that we use, which will be on screen for you now, and if you want to try some of these yourself, all the details are there. But I ran through quickly, not all of these, but some of these, just to get a feel for it. And again, bearing in mind this is brand new straight out of the box. I think overall the Luxman presented itself exceptionally well. It sounds as good as anything I've heard at that price point. What we will be doing is doing some comparative tests. And in fact, actually, to take that a stage further, the NT-07 will play a very key part of our Ultimate Streamer Shootout event here in our showroom on the 18th of May. So if you haven't booked tickets already, how to book tickets will be in the description below. And we are getting very close to capacity. I'd say, given we're about a month away from the event, this is the most booked up I have seen us. We've got about 15 places left, roughly. So you can get in now, get your places booked. If we are fully booked, it'll tell you it won't accept your booking, but you can book multiple tickets. And trust me, it'll be a great day. We hold this event every single year. We've got wildfire pizza coming along to make sure that none of you go hungry. We can't have anyone starving to death under our watch or in the safety of the Elite Audio event showroom. We've got industry experts here who will be on hand to answer all your technical questions. We will have representation from English Acoustics, REL, INUOS, and also from Paradigm. So take the opportunity to speak to people that know, who expertly know their products literally inside and out. But most importantly, come and take part in our blind shootout test. It's going to be something that will reveal what the best streamers are. Are there any giant killers out there? But we won't be deciding, you will. So this is your opportunity. We're also having a valve rolling clinic, both for the octave valve amplifiers that we will have here for your listening pleasure. And also we're going to do valve rolling in an Aqua Scala DAC. So valve rolling doesn't just apply to amplifiers, it also applies to DACs that are valve equipped as well. And again, you will get the opportunity to hear standard valves versus valves that we have chosen for a very specific audio based what's wrong with my teeth today, for a very specific audio based purpose. So please come along. It'll be a wonderful day, and it'd be great to welcome you here to the Elite Audio showroom. Finally, I have a small favour to ask. If you have enjoyed any of the Elite Audio videos, or indeed are enjoying this video, please take 2 seconds to subscribe to our channel. You have no idea how much it means to us when you subscribe. So if you've got a few seconds to spare and you've enjoyed any of our videos, please hit that subscribe button and like as well. That would mean a great deal to us here at Elite Audio. So there we go. Very, very impressive debut from Luxman in terms of their NT-07. It will be fascinating to pitch it against some of its direct competition, and I, for one, am very interested and intrigued to see how it will compare to others in that same kind of price band. As I said, you can hear the NT-07 for yourself by coming to our showroom event on the 18th of May, and all the details, as I said, are in the video description below. So there we go, this week's video, a bit shorter than usual, but interesting nonetheless. If you've got any comments about the Luxman, please put them below. And we will endeavour to answer all questions and comments as much as we can. If you want to message me directly, here is my email address. I will answer every single email that comes in. And even if it's just to get some advice, if you're buying anywhere in the world, I'm always more than happy to share my experience or perhaps give you some advice about an upgrade you are considering for your system. So until the next video, I am seriously, I need to get these teeth changed. I've no idea what's wrong with them today. Until the next video, please have a great week listening to music. I hope you've enjoyed this one. And until then, please take care.